Welcome back to Switchstars, my name's Luke, and today on the channel we're going to be taking a look at Rooftop Renegade, a fast-paced platformer which has you skating and rail grinding your way across rooftops, platforms and rails of all things, whilst pursued by the sinister Globacorp, though you'd probably ask for it as you've nicked the secret technology and done a runner with it. But let's check out this fun little indie title, and be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more Switch related content. Now I'm not really going to bother with the story with this one as I've kind of covered it in the intro, but basically you play as Svetlana, a renegade who has stolen some high-tech gizmo from Globacorp, presumably a big global corporation, and fused it with her hoverblades to soup them up a tad. And she's now on the run from them, collecting mysterious crystals to create portals through time and space. That though is about as deep as it gets with this one. Nothing is really expanded on or explained as you work your way through the game's 20 or so levels, and the narrative acts more as a bit of light information as to who you are and why you're being pursued. Now the game comes with a few different game modes, the first of which is a 24-stage arcade mode. And I'll say right now that Rooftop Renegade feels very much like a mobile title in its presentation, requiring you to level up to progress and unlock new stages and hoverblades, but you don't actually earn enough XP before you reach these stage barriers, which, if I'm honest, kind of makes it a bit of a grind. Setting that aside though and getting into the gameplay, each of the levels sees you arriving through a portal before Globacorp is hot on your heels and the chase is on, and you initially run through a tutorial mission to show you the basics. The controls for the game consist of running to the left and jumping, performing a slide manoeuvre to duck under traps, and a downwards-like dash manoeuvre which makes you fall faster. And I'm not entirely sure why they didn't have an auto run function, as there's absolutely no need to slow down or actually run to the right. Now, each of the arcade mode levels comes with a set layout for you to run through, with the first of them being comprised of some simple platforms and rails to grind on, but as you progress further into the game you'll start to see travelators and booster pads which can be used to speed you up or launch you into the air, gravity wells and barriers, and Globacorp will also step up the game, throwing enemies your way which hover alongside you, activating traps and destroying the scenery to slow you down. Hitting too many of these traps will lead to Globacorp catching you, but regardless of how quickly you move through levels, they'll always be only a few seconds behind you as indicated by the progress bar at the top of the screen, and to me this pretty much felt akin to the annoying rubber banding mechanics found in racing games. But to be honest, these obstructions are relatively trivial, and I was only caught a couple of times when I wasn't really paying attention. Now your snazzy looking hover boots are what brings some additional movement tech and speed to the game, and each of them comes with a different set of abilities. These include a speed boost, a jump boost, a short range teleport and temporary invincibility, and I felt like these really added a lot of fluidity to the game and gave you the ability to make some split second decisions to allow you to alter your course and avoid traps or get back up onto the rails and gain some speed. Though the fact that they were all just defensive manoeuvres and the only way to actually hit back at Globacorp was to grind the special purple rails to temporarily disable them, kind of made the game feel a little too passive for my liking, and I really think that having some offensive manoeuvres, if only to allow you to destroy traps, would have really added more variety and complexity to the gameplay and could have really made things a lot more interesting than they are. Each of them though comes with its own recharge time, and as you obtain better hover blades you get improved versions of them with faster cooldowns, and the crystals in levels, in addition to adding to your score, also build a meter in the top left corner which instantly resets your cooldowns at quarterly intervals, so there are plenty of ways to keep your momentum going in the game. Now, there's not all that much more to say about the gameplay in arcade mode, and overall I actually found it to be quite a relaxing experience, and I often found myself just zoning out as I sped along, hopping from platform to rail, but the general speed and flow of it kind of reminded me a little bit of Sonic Frontiers, albeit with a less memorable protagonist and no real enemies to speak of. What I will say though is that other than a few additional hazards and boosters thrown into the mix as the game goes on, very little actually changes from one level to the next, and in that sense the game becomes rather repetitive rather quickly, and this just isn't helped at all by that level grind. What does help with that though is the game's generator mode, which randomly generates level layouts and enemy types based on keywords, though again these only come in one of 3 different environments and feature the same types of obstructions, but they still offer at least a little bit of variety between the arcade mode, providing that little extra XP required to reach the next level set. The last thing to note about the arcade mode is that each of the levels comes with a ranking system based on how fast you managed to complete them and how high your score was, so if you wanted to hit all S ranks, there's at least some amount of replayability on offer there. Now the final game mode in this one is the party mode, and although I wasn't able to give it a proper go, this is undoubtedly going to be where most of the replayability is to be had, and it basically offers a competitive multiplayer mode for up to 4 players, with one person playing the role of the runner whilst the other 3 play as gunners, and each of you takes turns to complete runs as fast as possible or slow down the runner. So to summarise my thoughts on this one, while I wouldn't say it was the most engaging game I've played this year, it still offers a pretty enjoyable gameplay experience. I liked utilising the different movement tech to keep my speed up and keep that flow going, performing jumps and dashes to avoid traps and pitfalls, and generally just racing along to some decent beats. However, I do feel that that is all the game has got. There's not a huge amount of depth to it, and once you've run through a few levels, you've pretty much seen everything that it has to offer, bar the multiplayer mode of course. But I think that if you're looking for something to unwind with which isn't too spicy but also won't send you to sleep, Rooftop Renegade strikes a nice balance, and I could see it working well as a time filler game or something to perhaps dip in and out of every once in a while when you're looking for something a little more laid back and easy to play. Overall, a fun little action platformer which struggles a bit to break its repetitiveness, but is fun for a while and is probably best played in short bursts. Now when it comes to the visuals, I thought Rooftop Renegade looked pretty great. It's got plenty of neon going on, which I'm always a fan of, and the levels and backdrops all look pretty awesome, though like I said there are only 3 different stages on offer, so it is lacking a little on the variety front. And performance wise the game holds up well on the Switch despite the quality of its visuals and the speed of its gameplay. However, again on a negative note, zooming out to get a better view of the gunners does result in some minor frame rate drops, so a bit of positive and a bit of negative when it comes to the visuals. Audio wise things are kept pretty simple, but the sound effects all sound pretty decent and give some nice punchiness to the abilities, but the highlight for me was definitely the high tempo electronica and drum and bass soundtrack, which really helped to set the tone for the game and definitely added to the overall experience. Overall though, reasonably decent stuff. In conclusion then, Rooftop Renegade is one of those games that you're likely going to complete the arcade mode of and then put down for a while, and then dip back into on the odd occasion when you're looking for something a bit more chill and low stress to play. I do however think it's lacking a little on the variety front, and like I said, some offensive abilities and even some additional difficulties would have really helped out here, as the game just feels a little too easy, with the windows for hitting those boosters or hopping back onto the rails being just a little too lenient, and the way your character snaps to them feels like it's taking all the skill away from the player. Still, the gameplay is solid for what it is and enjoyable enough despite its repetitiveness, and the visuals and audio are definitely one of its highlights. But when it comes to my own personal rating, I'm going to be giving Rooftop Renegade 3 out of 5 stars. Not a bad little action platformer this one despite its shortcomings, and a good one to pick up if you're looking for a bit of a time filler game or something a little bit different to play with friends. With that said though, will you be picking up Rooftop Renegade, or have you already done so and how did you find it? Let me know in the comments section down below, and as always, drop a like if this one helped you out, and subscribe for more Switch related content. But for now, thanks once again for watching, take care of yourselves, and game on.